This question is asking us to write an equation for the function that has a graph with the given characteristics. It's the shape of y equals the square of x that has been reflected across the y-axis. So this is what's important. This is the function we'll mess with. Reflected across the y-axis means we put a negative on the x. Right, reflections tell you to do negative, and you put a negative on the opposite thing. We're reflecting across the y, we put a negative on the x. And for this one, I'll also graph this in the calculator so you can see how it all works. Right, but very literally, if we want to graph this, we take our square root of x and we put a negative on the x. But very important for this one, the negative goes on the x, which is on the inside. So the negative stays inside the square root. And this is the correct answer. You cannot move the negative. You're allowed to have the negative because it's an x. And you can look down here, the reflection across the y-axis tells you to put a negative on the x. Now what I'm going to do is graph y equals the square root of x. And the square root button is right here. The square root of x is going to be in blue, and square root of negative x is going to be in red. Right, so if this is the y-axis, you can see the blue is the original right here. And if we reflect that across the y-axis, it goes back here, and that's exactly what we got. So we can use our calculator to check that it is right. Just to emphasize why we have to keep the negative in there, if you put the negative out front instead, like this is not right. What's going to be in black? That's down here. This is reflection across the x-axis, which is exactly what putting a negative out in front does.